Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today. I just got done, first time, long time, listening to Observer Radio. I wanted to listen to Observer Radio basically to hear Dave's thoughts on the Royal Rumble. As well, I was hoping that he would really dive into the whole Vince McMahon situation. There was a lot out of there that you could have got. Make sure you go over to Figure 4 Weekly or WrestlingObserver.com. Subscribe. I'm not at the point where I think I want to listen to all of the podcasts they have, so I think I'll be a short-term subscriber. But back 2016, I think I almost listened to almost everything that they put up, and there was a lot of wrestling knowledge that got passed around on there. What sort of turned me off was the fact that there was 17 Raw reviews that he would listen to each and every week, and I don't know why I never fast forward them, but one day I just was like, I've already heard this from 3 different people on the same channel. I don't need to hear this again. But let's get into it. I think honestly, the one piece of news that I took out more than anything else that was on that show about the Royal Rumble last night was the fact that Dave Meltzer does believe that The Rock versus Roman Reigns is still going to happen, and that he cannot say what it is, but he believes that they already have a time and a place where that match is going to happen. I know that some people will hang on to the fact that some people think it's still going to happen in Perth, that they're going to have Rock versus Roman Reigns on the Elimination Chamber show, them being in a different country, is the fact that they give them a big main event like that. But I think, honestly, if you think of, like, The Rock coming back for WrestleMania 28 and how big that show was, because, The Rock hadn't been around. Wrestling at that time was going through a little bit of a boom because The Rock came back and guest hosted WrestleMania 27. I don't think we had seen The Rock in WWE since, like, WrestleMania 2020 time. I know he wasn't at 21, so I don't think he was at any of those WrestleManias or any Raws or anything like that in between. I can't remember when he showed up, surprisingly, during the Raw, was it the Divas contest or something like that, when they were in Miami. But it was a big thing, and they set up Rock vs. Cena for WrestleMania 28 1 year ahead of time. I'll tell you the truth, I was mad. I was really mad because of the fact that I had just traveled to Atlanta for WrestleMania 27. I thought the show was really good. I thought the Monday Night Raw was really good. I just didn't understand, why they had to tempt me with WrestleMania 28 in Miami, when at that time I really didn't think there was a chance that I was going to be able to go. But it all worked out. I was able to go. WrestleMania 28 had Rock vs. Cena. It had the Hell in the Cell. I can't really remember big moments coming out of that Royal Rumble other than those 2 things. I remember Kane versus Randy Orton for some reason. Maybe it was because of the fact that we were trying to get on TV because of our seats at the time. But I don't know. I think Rock is going to want to have one of the biggest WrestleMania moments of all time. I think that it's probably going to be The Rock's last match. It's going to be his Stone Cold Steve Austin in Dallas moment, where I think he's going to put it all on the line, because I think at his point in his career, I'm not saying at his age, I'm saying at this point in his career, he risks more by going into that ring than anything else. Win, lose, or draw, it's not going to hurt Hollywood. I'm not saying The Rock does a job to Roman Reigns. People aren't going to go see the next Rock, blows up a building movie. I think that that's always going to work. Every once in a while he puts up a stinker, but people still go see it and they make tons of money. People will forget by the time the next one comes out. But I think, honestly, at this point, it's time to shit or get off the pot. That's the best way that there is to put it when talking about Rock versus Roman. This match came to be, I think it was rumored around WrestleMania 31. The Rock had come back at the Rumble. People booed him. People thought that, the Rock might cost Roman versus Brock at WrestleMania 31. People definitely thought it was going to happen at WrestleMania 32. And we've thought about it each and every year from then on out. The Rock had a good little run where he was at every Rumble. He showed up at 27. He was the host. He wrestled at 28. He wrestled at 29. He did the Hall of Fame at 30. He did the opening toast at WrestleMania 30. He showed up with Rousey at 31. And then, to my knowledge, I don't think he showed up again for a while. I think it was a good long time before we saw him. For the fact that I think there's more to the fact that WWE put Rock on the board of directors. I know it was only almost a day or 2 days ahead of time. Did they know the Vince thing was about to go down? Did they know that lawsuit was going to come out and Vince was going to be removed? Definitely Rock hasn't said anything. Rock hasn't came out. So, he hasn't given them any, positive publicity. I think that, honestly, if The Rock came out against Vince McMahon at this time, I think that would kind of help the company close the door on Vince. And just be like, if he just publicly came out and said what he did was publicly disgusting, no one here knew about it, he's gone, he's going to be, pushed out, he'll be given, maybe he could even say, we appreciate everything that Vince McMahon did for this company, but at this point, he's gone, we're moving on. I think that would be huge for the company. Why the company probably can't say that is because there's probably people at the company that do know. And during the case of if this goes to a lawsuit and it's not sort of settled out of court, I think, honestly, names are going to be named, and then more dominoes are going to come out of people falling off. It's not just Vince McMahon. It's not just John Laurinaitis. In my mind, I know it's disgusting, but I try to think of every top guy that WWE's ever have. I guess Brock Lesnar is involved in this as well, because Matt Riddle never won a championship in WWE besides for... No, because it says a UFC heavyweight champion. So Matt Riddle never won a championship, so it can't be him. So I guess it has to be Brock. And in the timeline doesn't match up with Cain Velasquez, because that was way later down the road. But, does this go back to the Hogan days? Is Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Bret Hart? How could they be included in this? Is this just something that Vince started later on in his career once him and Linda kind of non-publicly separated? I don't know, but that could help out huge. One thing that came into my mind the day that it was announced that Rock was put on the board. He was given a large chunk of stock that once it becomes vested, or whatever that word is, will be worth, I think it was $30 million. He's also given the trademark to his name. He can put it on movie posters from here on out. Remember how good of an executive producer Vince McMahon was back in the day when they were putting The Rock on movie posters, like the movie he made with Sean William Scott and the Mummy Returns. Vince always had to be listed as an executive producer to be able to put that on there. That was kind of the deal they had at the time. And then The Rock came out in that Rolling Stones interview, and he was like, I'm Dwayne Johnson from now on. We're moving on from The Rock. And that was kind of his way of having to separate Hollywood and WWE. And some people thought that was because of the fallout of him not, getting a new contract around the time of WrestleMania 21, this, that, and the other. But one thing that came to my mind when they put him on the board of directors, they gave him that large chunk of stock. Are they going to treat him like Michael Jordan and the Wizards? For people who, aren't old enough or don't remember what went down, Michael Jordan had one hell of a career. He had probably two hell of a careers, even though the second one only lasted 3 years. He left due to his father dying. He went and tried to play baseball. I have a lot of thoughts on why that happened. It's been mentioned in his 30 for 30. It got laughed about on The Last Dance. I honestly really do believe a little bit about it, and I think people probably should look more into it. But he came back. He ended up playing 3 more years for the Bulls. They ended up breaking up that team because it said it cost too much money and they didn't make teams. Jordan ended up retiring. What year was that? Was that 98, I believe? And then in 2001, the Wizards ownership, with Michael Jordan having his shares, basically said, why don't you go back and play? I think that would really help the team. And Michael played for, I believe, 2 more years for the Washington Wizards. At his age, Michael could still do it. Michael tried his best. He came off the bench before I think he decided that it was probably better for him to start. They had Doug Collins, a guy that had coached Michael in the past, but it just wasn't Phil Jackson. There was no Scottie Pippen on that team. There was no even Horace Grant on the team. And even on nights, Michael looked good. Michael looked bad. That's the only way to put it, because at that point of his career, he wasn't the Michael Jordan that everybody remembered. He lived and died on his jump shot. He didn't really have the explosion to get to the hole. And, the second he was done, he thought he was just going to fall back into ownership and then kind of be part of the team to make the Wizards better. And the day he retired, the Wizards made him sell his shares back to them. They basically used him. And so I'm wondering, is WWE going to sort of use this chair spot to push The Rock? Like, hey, we need something big for WrestleMania. How about you go out there and you perform against Roman Reigns? Give everybody the match that everybody talks about and sort of, put him into it. The Rock is one hell of an athlete. The Rock is one hell, I don't know how to say it. The Rock's one hell of a man. But as you can see from CM Punk last night, CM Punk and The Rock are 2 different people. They're 2 different performers. But if you watch just the Royal Rumble match alone, when it came down to Punk and Cody, Punk looked like he was gassed. He didn't look like he had anything left in the tank. And I wonder if The Rock just doesn't want to look like that. And that's one of the reasons why he doesn't want to do it anymore, I guess you could say. I'll tell you the truth. I'll be pumped if they ever announce Rock versus Roman. But at this point, I'm kind of sick of them putting it out there, making people think that this is really going to happen. I think honestly, it's definitely do or die time. And I hope it gets done. But I mean, we've been waiting on this match for what feels like 8 years, 9 years. If he's going to do it, do it. And, The Rock's already showed up on Raw. He's already got the blood in the water by saying his promo about sitting at the head of the table that night at In-N-Out. But we'll have to see if this match ever happens. Because if it does, I want to see it. But, damn, we've been waiting forever.